Hi, this is Ashley back with Loomfinity. Today I'm going to show you how to make the French peas. They are from the TV show The VeggieTales. And today I'm going to go ahead and make him again in the red, but the tutorial is the same for both of them. So depending on which one you want to make, I know one wears a red beret, red strip in his beret, and the other one has a blue strip. So I'm going to go ahead and make the red, but if you're making the blue one, just replace the red bands with blue bands. In order to create these, this is a 2-loom design. You actually need 5 pegs in order to create it. So hopefully you have 5 pegs in order to do that. You'll also need 2 black pony beads in order to create that as well. So if you want to go ahead and grab your supplies, you'll need some green bands, 2 black bands, white, and some red bands as well. Then we'll go ahead and get started. As I said before, we're going to actually be using 5 pegs, so essentially you would need 2 looms, and we'll be doing this in the squared configuration. Let me go ahead and pop all these off. And I'm sure everybody has their own way of combining their looms, so I'm just going to put mine together the way that I normally do. Okay, so now we're all set up in our squared configuration, and we are going to be starting at the top of the loom. On the top pegs, we'll be using white bands, and I'll be using double bands unless I specify otherwise. So taking 2 white bands from the center row on the top peg, coming out into the left, and we're going to repeat that from the center peg and out into the right. Taking 2 more bands coming from the second center, I guess you could say, from this peg here, you're coming out at a long diagonal out to that left hand peg, and you're going to do the same thing on the right. You're then coming down 1 time on the left with 2 white bands, and you're going to do that for the next peg, coming down with 2 white bands, and we're going to do that twice. Doing that for the middle row as well. And the next row coming down twice. And then on the right hand side coming down once. We now want to go ahead and add in our 2 little attachment pieces here, and we're going to do that using our hook. Taking a single white on your hook, you're going to create 3 loops. Taking 2 white bands, I'm going to pull this on to the 2 white bands and reclaim the other side. Taking 2 more white bands and pulling that through again. I'm then going to take this piece and attach it on the far right on the 3rd peg down. And I'm going to take my hook through that triple capping band we had and bring it up to the 2nd peg. And we want to repeat that for the other side as well. So again, taking a single white, creating 3 loops, taking 2 white, pulling that onto itself, taking 2 more white, pulling that on, and I'm hooking that on the far left on the 3rd peg down. going to take my hook through that triple looped band and hook it to the second peg up. Now we'll switch over to our red bands, and you're just going to come down one time on each peg with 2 red bands. You're then going to take 2 more red bands, coming on the left side from this peg, in 1 to the center, so straight across. We're going to repeat that on the other side as well. And now we'll switch over to our green. Now for these, I used a regular style green, but I'm running low on those. So for the tutorial, I'm using this colored green. See, it's a little bit lighter. So whatever green that you have will work as long as it resembles a pea. So I'm going to take 2 green bands, and I'm going from this middle row where the red ended, and I'm going to come into the center peg. And I want to do the same thing for this row here, going into the center. Then taking 2 more bands from that same peg on the middle row, so the 4th peg down on this second row, and I'm coming out at an angle, and I'm going to repeat that over here on the 4th row over, on the 4th peg down, coming out at an angle with 2 green bands. We're then coming down the left hand side with 2 green bands 3 times. And I can tell that that one will snap on me. And I'm going to repeat that on the right hand side as well. And then from here we're going to go on this right hand peg, and we're going to come into the 4th row at an angle. And then from this 4th row peg we're coming straight across into the center. I'm going to repeat that on the left hand side. So first one goes in at an angle, and then straight across. And now we're going to fill the rest of this in here. So starting on this row, you're just going to come straight down with 2 green bands all the way down. And we're going to repeat that on this 4th row over here, coming straight down. Then we're going to fill in the center row, so you're coming down 1, 2, 3 times with 2 green bands. You then want to place your 2 black bands for the mouth, and then finishing off with 2 more green bands. And we're going to cap this off, creating 3 loops. Now we need to place some of our crossover bands. So we'll start in this area of the green. So here's the top part of your green. We're going to this row here. And you're going to use single green bands going from the center of our loom. So that's the 3rd row over. And I'm just going to come straight across and out to the left. And I'm going to repeat that from the center going out to the right. For the next row, we are going to have the eyes in place, so we want to take our green band on the center peg. You're going to twist it around this peg here, so you're making a figure 8, and then just pull it all the way out. So it's almost like a long figure 8, and you're going to do the same thing going this way. So place it on there, twist it across the next peg, and then pull it all the way out. And then from the next row, just taking a single green, coming straight out, going back the other way. And we're going to repeat that again down here with a single green. Going back up into the top area where his white hat is, we don't need anything on the top, but on this second set of pins, again, the same process, taking a single white from the center or the third row out to the left, and then another one from the third row out to the right. Now, because his hat is kind of like a beret, we want to make this area tighter. So you're going to take a single red and you want to stretch this out. You're going to double it and you want to pull this. What I do is I go to that center row, take your hook and stretch it to the next row, and just carefully stretching the band all the way out and straight across. And we're going to want to do this even though normally on a design you don't need a holding band right here. We have to create another one here to make sure that it pulls and cinches in this part of the hat. So you're going to repeat the same process. So stretch out your red band, double it, and I'm going to go across the first 3 pegs. Take this, come across to the 4th, and then gently pull it all the way across. And this is what you should have. Now we're going to create his nose. To do that, you're taking a single green on your hook, creating 4 loops. So 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to do that again. 1, 2, 3, 4, and one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm then taking a single green, I'm going to double it and pull everything in place onto that band. And reclaim the other side, pinch that together, taking a single green and pulling that on. This will be placed, so here's the bands that we had the figure 8, so we will actually be placing this on the peg right below, the 2 pegs right below, and it'll be on this 4th right hand side peg over to the 2nd left hand side peg, and we're draping the nose right across this peg here on the top, just lay it across the top. And then for our eyes, just take your green band and we're going to lose the beads in my loom. And I'm going to pinch this and feed that right through the center. And then you're going to stretch this straight across from that right 4th peg to the 2nd left. You want to separate the eyes if you can, and then taking that band and wrapping that through that center peg, just like that. Now that we have everything in place, we can go ahead and begin our looping process. So you're just going to go through the center here, through your capping band, grabbing your first 2 green and bringing those forward. I'm going to go back in, grabbing the next 2, bringing them out into the left, and my next 2 going to the right. We're then going to go in, and you should only be going through the top 2 parts of this band, grabbing 2 bands that go up and bringing those forward. And then I'll go back in through all 4 of these bands and bring this up and to the right. We're going to repeat that over here. So the first 2 bands that you're going for is these here. And the way that we had placed them on the loom, you're actually only going through the top 2 of this set of bands. And then when we go back through, we're going to go through all 4 and bring it up and to the left. And we want to go ahead and loop up the outsides first. So I'm going to go in here, grabbing these two and go ahead and loop this all the way up till I meet the red. I'm going to do the same thing on the left. And now I want to do the next 2 rows on the outside. And now I'm going to go straight up the center. When you pull the bands through for the nose, go ahead and pull it onto the peg and then pull out from the side and pull the nose through that band so it doesn't end up buried inside the design. Now that we've come up the center, we want to work our way out. So you're going to go through grabbing the first 2 green bands and bringing those over to the right and going back in, grabbing the next 2 green, bringing them over to the left, and I'm going to go ahead and grab these 2 red and bring those up. I'm now going to go in through here, grabbing my first 2 red, you can see them, and bringing those over to the right, and here you might need to relieve some tension, and then grabbing my next 2 red and bringing those up. I'm going to repeat that on this row here. My first 2 red go over to the left, and my next 2 go up. Now I'm going to go back over here to the right. I'm going to go ahead and loop up this right hand side. So grabbing the 2 red, bringing those forward, going through, grabbing 2 white, bringing those forward, grabbing these and bringing them up at the angle, and I'm going to stop there. Now I'm going to go in to this 4th row and bring up my white. And then I'm going to go in this top peg, grabbing these 2 white and pulling them over to the center. I want to repeat that same process over here before I do the middle. So going in here, grabbing my 2 red, bringing those up, going through all of these, grabbing the bottom 2 white, and then grabbing these 2 white, and I'm going to stop there, go through here, grabbing these 2 white, and then go through here, grabbing this and bringing this one over to the center as well. And now I can go ahead and loop up the rest of the center row. Now you're going to take a single white band. We're going to go through the top, grabbing that and bringing it up, create your slip knot. And once we've done that, he is ready to come off the loom. So I'm going to hold on to my slip knot for a bit so I don't lose him. And you want to gently start pulling from the outside, working your way in so you don't end up snapping any of the bands. Especially in this area, we had that double crossover band that was really tight. You want to be careful pulling it off the loom so they don't snap. And there he is. You just want to fix him, pull him out a little bit so he's still round. He shouldn't need too much adjusting. Flip him over and going through the white. I'm going to go ahead and pull this in and hide his slip knot. And that is how you create the French peas from VeggieTales. So like I said, if you want, you can recreate them with the blue strip, and that gives you both of them because there's 2 of them on the TV show. And don't forget to subscribe to get updates for my future videos. I hope you like them.